What's going on, guys? Cody Simpson here with Anastasia Broadway. I'm going to answer a couple of your questions that you left. And I want to start with I am always irritated. That's a name. What are your favorite moments with the cast of Anastasia Broadway? Some of my favorite moments with the cast are backstage with John. Like, we always make little stage jokes before we go on for scenes. Which is funny because like sometimes we'd be going on for a serious scene and John will just have said something hilarious and we'd be trying not to laugh. So that's always a good one. He's very, very good at making me feel comfortable, especially during some of my first shows. We broke the ice really quickly. At higher_expectation said, what was the transition from the pop music industry to theater like? It was interesting. It was a challenge, but at the same time, like I'd been really interested in theater for my whole life, and then really kind of seriously for a couple of years before I booked this gig. And being in pop music isn't a whole lot different to being in the theater because you're up on stage every night, you're performing, you're an entertainer, and so like the general kind of experience allowed me to transition over quite seamlessly, I think. It was more the incorporating the acting and the dancing and the singing on stage all at one time that was maybe the thing I had to work on the most. At SarahHJC.13 asked, what food is always in your dressing room? I like to keep it healthy. I always have fruit in my dressing room, little granola bars, things like that. But if I'm ever feeling like I want something a little less healthy, I'll go down to Christy's dressing room. She's got a whole candy bar down there, and we'll always be eating Sour Patch Kids and M&Ms and the whole thing. Sour Patch Kids, funny enough, are very good for warming up or lubricating your voice before you go out and sing. So I'll eat one before I go out for my songs. At AbbyHeckett asked, what's it like living as a working actor while also being in the pop music industry? Well, like I mentioned earlier, there are common themes and general kind of skills that apply to all aspects of entertainment, whether it be music or acting in the theater or acting on the screen. It's a mindset that you just want to be in the flow. You want to be in the moment, no matter what you're doing, whether it be singing, whether it be acting. You want to be believing what you're saying so that the audience will believe it too. And so I find that it's quite easy to do both, or quite enjoyable to kind of be an actor and a musician at the same time. At Caitlin Conferido, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your names right, asked, what has been the most surreal moment of your Broadway run so far? The most surreal moment, I think maybe the one moment when I realized what I was doing and how incredible what I was doing or had the opportunity to do was taking my first bow on my opening night, because the first show I was so much adrenaline going on that I kind of, it was a blur going through the whole my Broadway debut, and so taking the bow, it was almost like I woke up at that second and, everybody was cheering and I realized where I was and what I was doing. And it was just, it all hit me at that one moment. So that was really surreal. Freaking jazzed about bees. Someone's really excited about bees. Asked, what's your favorite way to relax before a show? Usually I have my guitar in my dressing room, so I play a bit of guitar before I go on. It eases my mind a bit. I'll do a bit of meditation before I go on. I drink tea. Do all these things that kind of calm your mind and your body down before you are going out to exert a lot of energy physically and emotionally on stage. Julia.mp asked, when you're not performing in Anastasia, what other activities do you enjoy doing in New York City? I regard myself an amateur coffee connoisseur, so I'll just be going around the city finding coffee shops, trying all different kinds of coffees and things. So I really like doing that in my free time. I have a recording studio set up in my apartment here. We've got a little art space back there, and so I like to record music, play guitar, swim laps, go to the gym, all those kind of things. At B-Way Anastasia asked, if you could play any character in Anastasia besides Dima, who would it be and why? I think if I was a little bit older, I would really like to play Vlad because he's by far my favorite character in the show. I think John does a perfect interpretation of him. He makes the show, in my opinion, and I think that if I had the chance to do that, it'd be quite funny. I don't think I'd be quite as funny as John would be, but if I could play another character, I'd be Vlad for sure. At Alden Epps asked, what's the hardest part about working on Broadway? The hardest part about it is, I think, the schedule more than anything, but it's a challenging schedule. You know, you're doing 8 shows a week. Sometimes you have 2 shows a day. Later today, I have 2 shows. But I don't think it's hard if you enjoy it. And that's, you know, kind of the general idea, I think, that, you know, I've noticed is common amongst all the actors I've talked to, is that, you know, it's difficult, but it's like anything, you know, you're going to work, but if you don't, you know, if you enjoy your work, you'll never be working a day in your life. So that's kind of the general theme behind it. Ali CO7 asked, have you had any onstage mishaps? If so, what was the funniest? I think it was one when John had cracked a joke right before we walked out for a pretty emotional scene. It was one of the scenes where he's telling me that he knows that I'm interested in Anastasia romantically, and is warning me that she's going to break my heart. And he basically kind of chuckled or laughed in between in that line, and it made me do that too. So it kind of like sacrificed the emotional part of that scene, but we got in a bit of trouble for that after. But you know, we try our best to stay as focused and as professional as possible. At Yo Yuri asked, favorite song to perform from Anastasia. My favorite song is my very last song in the show that I sing. It's called Everything to Win, and it happens at the ballet processional when Anastasia's in with the Dowager Empress waiting to, and I'm waiting with Vlad to hear what happens. And you know, it's basically my whole thought process. This song, and it's a very, very beautifully written song. It reminds me of a lot of the old jazz standards that I like to sing in my free time, and so I really enjoy doing that every night. At IAIM Nicole, nice, asked, where were you when you found out you were going to be Dimitri? Reaction. I was in Venice Beach, California. I lived there for a couple of years before I moved out here to New York, and I was kind of walking around. I think I'd just gotten a coffee, or maybe about to go for a surf or something, and I got a call from my agent that had said that you know, I booked the job, and it was one of those surreal kind of moments. You know, you always dream of being on Broadway. You see Broadway as kind of like a, you know, an all-star league of entertainers, and to be asked to be a part of it was really surreal, and I was really excited. I was with a couple of friends, and I kind of told them, and everyone was really stoked, and I think we went for a surf or something after, but I just couldn't get a smile off my face. At Sarah Beth Huntley asked, what drew you to Anastasia? I've been a huge fan of the animated film for as long as I can remember. I've at least been familiar with the story, and when I heard it was on Broadway, it was, you know, immediately one of those exciting things. Like, I wanted to go see the show. I never sort of thought that I could possibly be a part of it, but you know, the character Dimitri is one of the things that drew me to it. I've always been a huge fan of that character. I like his rebellious nature. I like his whole attitude and his charisma, and so to be able to portray that on stage was something that really drew me to the show, was to be able to portray that character specifically. At Liz Sparks asks, what does being in Anastasia mean to you, and what do you hope to take away from being in the show? It means everything to me. I think anybody's first Broadway show is a huge moment in their lives, and I couldn't have asked for a more perfect show to be a part of, a more perfect and exciting character to portray as my first one. And I've only been in the show for about a month, and already have taken away so much expertise and experience and knowledge from working with these other actors. I hope to take away a bunch of knowledge so that I can in the future, maybe do more shows and take away a bunch of acting experience with me. This is the last question. At Eva Helfter asked, what's the best part about working on Broadway? Best part about working on Broadway is the cast and company that I get to work with in Anastasia, because they're all so humble, so kind. When I first came into the show, they were so welcoming and generous. Christy and John, my two immediate co-stars, they were so generous with their time in helping me get ready for the role. And I think the best part of working on Broadway is that there's really not a whole lot of ego. Everyone's there to see each other do well every day, because they know what a challenging, what a demand it is on the actor. It's really nice to be a part of a community like that. So thank you guys so much for sending in your questions, and I hope to do this again soon. Come out and see the show before February 17 if you can, and we'll hope to see you out there. All right, guys.